Hello, everybody, and welcome to Compassionate Chats. I'm Tanys Coughlan from My Place Home Care, and I am joined by my beautiful co-host, Heidi Gagne, also from My Place Home Care. And today we have an awesome guest. We have Debbie from Senior Solutions. Welcome, Debbie.
Hello.
Great
Thank
to
you for
have
having
you.
me. I appreciate that.
Thank you for joining us. So today we're having an interesting conversation.
We are.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about first Senior Solutions and then the death doula thing.
Okay, so I'm with Senior Solution. We've been around since 2007. So I started it a need from my mother-in-law. I was working in patent and trademarks, and it was extremely boring. And I was doing a lot of this for my mother-in-law and realizing that, quote unquote, there was a lot of Hildas out there. And that's sort of where I started. I wanted to create a full-time job for myself. And 20 years later, almost, we're still doing this with lots of add-ons and a lot of amazing staff. So that's where we started with Senior Solution. 2019, I became an end-of-life doula. I had seen an ad for it, actually, and realized that I had been with a lot of people that had passed. And to me, some people say, oh, that must be very hard on you. It's actually not very, it is and it isn't, because I believe that people get to, at the end of their life, they choose when they go. You'll always hear lots of stories where I just went to get a coffee and I came back and they were gone, or I just went home to have a shower and I came back and they were gone. I believe that people have a choice some have a choice when they want to go, and I feel that sometimes they go when there's no one around to spare that other person of pain. So I have had the pleasure of having people pass with me, because to me it's an honor that they have chosen to pass with me, holding their hand and lying in bed with them. And then end-of-life doula can expand into being sort of quote unquote a concierge for the family. And sometimes the people that are passing are the ones that are more at peace with it, and the families are not at peace. And that's where sometimes the hand holding goes, and it goes after the person, before, after, and during a person is passing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we were talking about this before we started the podcast. And we've talked, you were saying that there are two different terms. So we've heard the term death doula, and you've just referred to it as end-of-life doula. So can you explain what, if any, the difference is?
The difference is just wording. So I was saying earlier that it depends on your audience. Death doula can be very shocking. It is very visual. This is my personal opinion. It can be very visual. It can be very harsh. So you need to pick your audience. I go along it organically. I feel that if you say death doula, they have you almost looking like that person in black with the big sword, and it's not that. So it's end of life doula is a much softer term. It is end of life as opposed to death. So it sometimes there's a great story called Life After Death. And it was a great documentary on life after death, which is an amazing title. So sometimes end of life can just be end of life, and it goes on further. Death is to me, sounds a very permanent word. So my personal opinion, I choose to be an end of life doula. It's a little softer.
Okay. And so then an end of life doula, you're there for a period before the final moments. So how does one go about finding, or when does one start looking at bringing on an end of life doula?
It can be up to months before. It can be weeks or days before. Sometimes it's hours. We've had somebody call us at I think it was 6:00 at night, and I had another end of life doula go there, and the person passed at 3. And again, that lady went to sleep, and Toby was with our client till she passed, and the daughter didn't take offense to it or anything. She was just so blessed that her mom chose to be with Toby when she passed. Again, she made a choice in a sense. So
Right.
it can be months. We have some clients that have chosen MAID. We just had a lady recently who chose MAID. We were with her 24/7 for probably about a year. We've gone into some of our clients, we go into their home, and we are end-of-life doula for, let's say, mom, one particular client we had. And then we are also concierge for the husband. So he was still in the home. So we would cook for him. We would sit with him, because people forget about the person that is not actually passing, and they are going through so many emotions. They don't want to say goodbye. They're in denial. So we are the concierge for the family. One particular end-of-life doula that we had, the lady was from Poland, and she made a lot of her favorite foods, and it's because the end-of-life doula was from there. So we sort of, it's a concierge for the whole family. So end-of-life can be, a doula can come in. I've been into hospitals with a client that is passing, and I was with a client, and I adore this lady, and one of our end-of-life doulas was with her at the hospital. But I came in to sort of say goodbye, because I knew it was coming, and we laughed. We had a little party, because I tend to lead with sometimes sense of humor, depending on the client, depending on the person.
Right.
So this lady, we had a really, really good time, and she was extremely pragmatic lady. And so I was leaving, and this lady next to me, she goes, "That was absolutely beautiful. Who are you?" And I said, "I'm her friend." And she said, "That was a really nice thing." So the next day, she passed. So my memory is that her and I had this little informal party, just the two of us. It wasn't a goodbye. It was just a moment that we shared together. So to me, I take those moments very, very seriously and very much at heart.
Wow.
And I share those with the families at the end. I share, because a lot of times families share with us stuff that they don't share anything with their kids, and they'll share the funniest stories. They will share relationships that they used to have that the family doesn't know about. They will share so much at the end of their life, because either they want to share it, they want to get it off their chest, or they just want to talk about it. And that is, to me, a privilege to be able to accept that into my heart.
Wow.
Beautiful. Yeah.
What comfort and soothing to have somebody there with the compassion, and that would probably make it a little easier for them, because I mean,
it is.
I would say that me personally, if I was in that position, if I was the one passing, I think I don't know if I'd want my family to see that side of it and have their last thought.
You're absolutely correct.
Vision of me as that.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult.
That chose MAID, and it's difficult, because I've thought about that. Would I want my family to be around to see my suffering and pain, or losing my cognitive ability? And I had a friend that passed away a year and a half ago, and she chose MAID. And I got to see her about a week before, but she did it at home and with her family and friends, and nobody was allowed to cry. Nobody, they were there. It was a farewell. It was, they were laughing. And then she went upstairs with the doctor and her husband and her immediate family, and the friends stayed downstairs. This woman had strength that I've never seen in my life. Unbelievable strength. She thought about everybody else, and she chose before she did lose her cognitive ability. So MAID is another thing that's under a lot of controversy. Not everybody agrees with it. As an end-of-life doula, we're non-law. So I say non-law. We don't have any opinion on any legality issues. We are non-religious and we are non-medical. So whatever your religious values are, that is none of our business. We may placate it, or in a sense, what's a nice word, accept their religion at that moment, and we don't have to agree with it. It's none of our business. It's all about them. We've had, sometimes mom is passing, and believe it or not, we've heard families fighting. So we are also the gatekeeper for that. So if you're fighting, we need to go and say, "Mom can hear you," because she's twitching or she's moving. that's the last thing to go, is their hearing. So we need to be very cognitive of that, and what we say around them when they are passing.
Yeah.
So how
I call it transitioning. So passing, transitioning. Sorry.
Yeah.
That makes sense. No, that's a good word though.
I like that word, transitioning, because we're all transitioning into something, whatever we believe in. Whether even if you're going in the ground, you're still transitioning somewhere. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That is a good term to use.
Mm-hmm.
So how does one become an end-of-life doula?
I was fortunate enough. I took my course with Douglas College. It was a 4-day course, and it was in person, which was very, very valuable to me. I was at a round table with probably 20 to 25 extraordinary human beings, and we all came from different walks of our lives. Some of the people have actually passed on and came back, shared their story, what they saw, what they did, what they listened to during. Lady passed away on the table of a heart attack. She was very young, and they were talking about what they were going to have for lunch and pizza and stuff. So again, she heard all that. So I was fortunate enough to, with Douglas College, to do it in person. A couple of our staff members wanted to do that. It was going to be in person. It switched to online. So it seems to be, since COVID, a lot of the courses are online. If you could find it in person, I just think it comes with a lot more value. The energy in the room,
that makes sense.
You're out of your own surroundings. It's a very private, non-judgmental, safe space, and they literally hold space in that room. It's a very, very sacred space, and I just feel that everybody was sharing that was so valuable, that I took from that experience to help me become a better end-of-life doula and a better person. And the little things in life that what I learned, it's funny what I learned during taking the course, because I am a giver. I like to do so much for other people, and I forget that other people like to do things for me. So what I took and what we learned in that course was, I took away the joy that people like to do things. So just little things that I learned in that course about myself to become a better person, which makes me a better end-of-life doula. So if you want to be an end-of-life doula, there's many, many courses around. If you can find one that's in person, personally, I think that's where you're going to get a lot of value. And I like to share other stories, and other people like to share their stories with like-minded, because some of the stories that you may share, not everybody's going to believe you. And in that safe space, everybody does. And Tanys, you would understand what I'm talking about, and energy and spirits and whatever it is you believe in. So everybody got to share that, and different religions and different cultures is very, very important to understand those.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Do you find that as an end-of-life doula, it almost provides having you there as the support to the family once the person has transition? Do you find that there is a lot more? Are you able to comfort them more? Like, is there comfort? Is there compassion? Like, what happens once the person transitions? And you know,
that's a tough call, because we've had. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
We've had people where, I'm going to be very frank, not everybody likes everybody, and that comes in families and loved ones, and not everybody. I've had people say things to me that they could never say to anybody else. I'm glad she's gone. I miss her, but I'm glad she's gone. Whether it was a long struggle, it was painful for them to watch. Their husband was leaving them because that's all they did was spend their time with mom. I've had those hard conversations with people, and it's not they didn't care about the loved one. It is so taxing the person that is watching this and spending time. So they're able to share before, during, after things that they can't say to anybody else, because somebody else would look at them like, you're a cold person, but you're not. You're just human.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And we're allowed to feel all sorts of.
Just hug them and listen and just hold them. Absolutely. Some of them are like, I didn't even like her. You know, it's it's hard for families to because everybody at the end is thinking, oh, kumbaya, and it's not always that case. And that's where a lot of people struggle, is they didn't have a relationship with mom or dad or sister, brother. They didn't like them. They didn't love them. They just came because they had to. And we're able to share that. If they can get that off their chest and walk away with maybe a better sense of finding what was good about that person. Because I'm also a funeral celibate. So, you could have a really not good person, but there's got to be something. There's got to be something. Right. So you try to pull from that, and you try to share that with the people that maybe have some really bad feelings. And you try to share, again, sometimes I lead with humor, and there's got to be something. So it is a safe space, again, a private, safe space, non-judgmental space to share what you're feeling, good and bad.
Yeah, and that's a huge gift that you can give to people, for sure.
Yeah,
because they need that space, right? And
yes,
so holding space for
wasn't
people
holding space, and that's what whatever people think, holding space to me is, we're in a world right now that it's difficult to say a lot of things and without being judged.
Oh, the ice storm is causing
so if you
problems.
can share with somebody, okay, the storm. Well, that's ironic that we're talking about this. What's that? So I think with having said that, I think can you guys hear me? You're okay?
Yep. Yeah, you're good now.
You can hear me? Okay, yeah. So yes, it's just being able to have a safe space. I had a woman, her mom died almost 2 years ago, and that was very difficult for her. She was an only child. She had to quit her job or take time off from her job. She found it very, very, very difficult, and she had some very hard conversations with me before, during, and after. And it didn't take away from what I knew, how she felt about her mom, but she needed to share that with somebody. And I just got a text from her on Friday for Happy International Day. So they still keep in touch. And sometimes we go for lunch or we go have a coffee, just because I represent. They shared things with me, and it's they still have that connection with me. And I saw their mom at the end, or mom or dad at the end of their life. And I had a dog that was a therapy companion dog, Diesel, and he passed away sadly 3 months ago. But he did a lot of the work with me. He came to the hospices. He would come to the hospitals with me. He's climbed into bed with some people who wanted him in bed. Got to lift him up, my 100-pound dog. But he was so amazing. He created a whole different amount of energy. So animals are very, very instrumental in this end of life as well. Some people want to be with a dog, and they just want to see a dog for the last time, or their own pet. And I think we're getting a little more relaxed with animals when it comes to healthcare and mental health. I'm hoping that we're moving forward that way.
Yeah, I think they're being much more accepted as like part of the family.
I hope so. Yeah. I agree. Absolutely. Yeah. I have a little guy now that's he's in training. So he'll be more of a lap dog than the Doberman was. But yeah, so I think with their made and end of life is it's a connection that people are able to access right now, which is a plus for anybody who wants to have that.
Yeah. Well, and there's such a spirituality, even if you're not religious, there is such a spirituality to the end of life. And I'm going to share a story because my grandmother passed. Oh my goodness, I think it's about 12 years ago. She was my grandmother was the woman. I learned, okay, this is where my sense of humor comes from. This is where my raunchy jokes come from. This is a woman that I learned once I was an adult, and I never felt like I fit in my family until I started taking my grandmother to bingo. And we would go to bingo together. And oh my gosh, she was a hoot. So funny. Like, I cherish those Thursdays. I was living in Kingston at the time. She was living with my parents in Brockville. I would come to Brockville from Kingston. I specifically took Thursdays off so we would go play bingo together. So, and we did this for about 2.5 years. So this was so, and then she got sicker, and she was at the end. She was at the hospital, and I remember waking up at like 4 a.m. and going, okay, like we had already planned. My husband was just as close with her. My 2 daughters were close with her, like just everybody was. And I remember waking up and thinking, I really want to see Baba today. Like this is the day I need to go. And unfortunately, she had passed at 4 a.m. that day. And we had arranged, we were arranging to go.
Wow.
But the great thing is with my oldest daughter, she has always had, her dreams are very telling. She is always like, I bought her a dream interpretation book because her dreams would always have such meaning to them. So I called her in the morning when I found out, when my mom called me and told me, and I called her and I let her know. And she's like, oh my God, when did this happen? And I said, it was around 4:30 in the morning. She's like, I had a dream about her. And her dream, okay, I'm going to try not to cry. My grandmother met my grandfather in downtown Toronto at the regular dance hall on Friday nights, and they would dance, and that's how they met, and they fell in love, and he was her everything. And so that was their dates. They would always dance, and she had a dream of my grandmother, young, in a bright blue dress, because my grandmother had beautiful blue eyes, and she was lying on a gurney in this dress, and then suddenly sat up and got up and danced off with her arms open. And that's the dream she had. Sorry.
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful.
That's a beautiful story.
Like we sat there crying
yeah.
over the phone, and she's like, I'm like, I am so happy you told me that, because that's the vision I have of my grandmother at the end.
Yeah.
And so when we did go to the viewing,
vision.
I couldn't see her in the casket. I was like, my vision of her is us playing bingo and her dancing off to see my grandfather.
I get that. I think you protected yourself in your memory. You didn't want to take that memory and squash the other one.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do struggle
I'm
very
glad you
much
did that.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, and I struggle. I don't generally go to viewings, like to the casket, because especially if it's somebody important, because I can't have that last view. That will be what I see all the time.
No.
Yeah.
I agree. You did yourself a really wonderful, beautiful blessing for yourself, because now your memory, now that's in my head. I've literally got her getting up off the gurney in her dress.
I can see
that's
it
in
too.
my
Yeah.
brain. You described
twirling.
it beautifully. Yeah.
And that's exactly how Tesla just described it. Yeah.
And that's how your grandma would want her to remember her by.
I think so. I think so for sure. We recently had a client. We were temporary care because she was very sick, and I was talking to one of the daughters, and she's like, "Yeah, she's seeing my dad right now. She's talking to my dad," and I was like, "Yeah, I can see how that would." Yeah, because you're going to talk to the person you love the most. If they've passed before you, that's who's going to greet you, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you believe.
They're waiting. They're waiting. Wherever it is you think they are, whatever you believe in.
Yeah.
They're waiting.
Yeah.
And you know what? I love to think that. And I talked about I don't know if you can find it on YouTube. It's called Life After Death. I actually went to the movie theater to see it. And it was about all these people that had passed away in tragic ways. And there was a scientist who was trying to debunk all these people. And he said, of course, his mind was switched. He says, I can listen to the stories who died and came back. I don't know about the stories who didn't come back, but it's a really interesting. I left that movie theater thinking, it's okay. Everyone's going to be okay, because there is life after death, whatever it is. And so it's quite a remarkable documentary about making you feel better about people that we've lost, or even our own selves. And I wanted to reiterate that MAID, when I say MAID, it's MAID stands for Medical Assistance in Dying. So if anybody doesn't know what MAID is, that's newish to Canada, newish. So, I think I love your story, and I love that for you. I love that for you. And I'm glad you all shared each other's stories so that you all didn't keep that privately, because it mattered to each.
No,
for sure.
Yeah, it's something I think about whenever I hear somebody has passed, especially if it's a client that we have been, like there's some clients that have passed that even though I might not visit them, I read the shift notes, I learn who they are, I get to know who they are, and I talk to the caregivers that see them regularly, and I've gone to funerals, and every time something like that happens, somebody passes or transitions, I think of that moment and Tesla's dream, and I'm like, I hope everybody had that moment.
I hope everybody does have that moment for them.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a little delay.
And that's where I learn a lot about our clients or anybody, is at the funeral.
Right.
I and having a coffee or I call them funeral sandwiches, those little triangle sandwiches.
Oh, I love those
and just listening to, I know, right? So listening to everybody's story. And again, everybody pulls out the great stories. No one's going to get up and say what a horrible person they were. They share the good stories. And that's what we're meant to be, is that to leave with a good feeling. Because everybody has some good in them. I took one lady to her husband's funeral, and everyone was saying wonderful things about her. And we got in the car, and she said, well, that was so nice, whatever that was. She had Alzheimer's, so she didn't even know she was at her husband's funeral. She knew it was lovely, whatever it was. But in that moment, I felt grateful for her for not knowing or understanding that she lost her husband. I felt grateful for that. And that's a tricky one for me, when they lose their spouse and they don't even know. And it's a bittersweet. It's a bittersweet. So
it's interesting. It's interesting too, because that there's a quote there by, I think it's Maya Angelou, where she talks about how really people remember how you make them feel. And so she's not remembering anything else, but she remembers how it made her feel.
Good or
and
bad.
So that's a beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Beautiful testament to that.
It is. And I think we're focusing on celebrations of life now, as opposed to funerals. I think you see a lot more. I think in BC, it's like 90% are celebrations of life, which just, again, let's celebrate their life, not be sad at a funeral, everybody wearing black. But again, that's a cultural thing.
It is.
So everybody's different. So it's a one thing literally we all have in common. Literally, we're all going to die. We just don't know when. So again, back to kindness and being kind every day, and just, we never know what's going through people's heads or what they're going through, and everybody's just trying to get up and move each foot forward every day, and that's all we have to do, because we just don't know when.
Make the most of the moments.
True. Absolutely. If we can just be kind, because we're all in that business, right? We're all in the kindness business. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I can't believe we're like at the end of the show.
I know, it did go by fast.
It did.
Just chatting.
It goes fast.
It did.
We have 2 minutes. I would love to share just a quick story just about my experience with my grandmother, because
Please, yes.
I was only 15 at the time, and we were talking about how usually they wait till you leave the room. Mine waited until my family was together again. So that's why I thought it would be interesting to share. So we were, my parents were separated at the time, and we arrived at the hospital. I went with my dad, and we went to the hospital because she wasn't doing well. And we actually ran into a nurse in the elevator, and the nurse was like, she's not going to make it through the night. And my dad said, okay, I'm going to stay then. So I called my mom to come and pick me up. And she was like, so just come down. And I'm like, no, you need to come up. You need to come up. And I don't know why I said that, but I did. I was like, you need to come up. And as soon as she got there that night, the three of us were in the room again with my granny, whom we had all lived together at one point as well.
Okay.
And so it was like a family unit, like the four of us had been a family unit for a number of years. And so as soon as she got there, and arrived in the room, my granny passed. So you can have the other side of things where they wait to have everyone together. And it was probably because we needed each other.
Yeah.
You did that. You said you didn't know why you invited her up. You know why.
Yeah,
you did that. She did that for you. Exactly.
Yeah,
she got you to bring everybody together. So now you know why. Yes.
Yeah, I do know. I didn't at the time.
Yes, you do know why. Yes, you do know now why. So I'm glad you followed your instinct, because you were 15. You could have done what you were told to do. You didn't.
No, there was one time, and I was pretty, I pretty much did what was expected most of the time. This is one of the times where I was like, no.
You need to see.
I'm glad you did. Yeah.
So
you wouldn't have that story. You
comfort.
wouldn't have had that incredible moment of holding her and watching her take her last breath and close her eyes.
Yeah.
It's an incredible moment. Is it difficult?
It was at 15.
I didn't put my dog down. That was extremely difficult to put my dog down. I've been fortunate enough that it's my grandparents have passed, but I'm very fortunate that my parents are still around, and so I haven't experienced, my grand.
Your own personal loss.
She was my heart. I look just like her. She's my heart. So it's losses are huge, and mourning is normal, and how everybody mourns is so different, and everybody's normal, however they want to mourn. But sharing stories like that is beautiful for you guys, and I'm glad you guys have beautiful stories. I really do, because those are to be cherished forever. Yeah. I love it. And both were your grandmothers.
And mine was she was a kindred spirit, my granny. We spent lots of time together.
That's how mine was. So it's funny how we look up to our grandparents, our grandmothers. Amazing.
Yeah.
She was my mentor. She was an amazing human being. Yeah. I'm adventurous because of her. Yeah.
Awesome.
I learned to persevere from mine.
Grandmothers are very powerful. Pardon me?
Yeah. I learned to persevere from mine. My grandmother lost her husband when her 3 kids, her oldest was 9, I think. And he passed away, kidney failure, I believe it was, downtown Toronto. They had a gas station with an ice cream, like an ice cream parlor as well, and everything like that. And he was a mechanic, and she lost all of that, and she had to survive, and she became a seamstress. And she had to survive to raise her 3 young kids. So let me tell you, because he had gotten a cold, and because he only had 1 kidney, it just snowballed into all sorts of illnesses for him. When my youngest was a baby and she had bare feet, my grandmother would be constantly, put socks on her, she's going to get cold. She can't get a cold. So that, once you find out that she lost the love of her life due to a cold, she was obsessed. I'm like, okay, I'll put socks on her.
Of course.
Yeah.
No problem.
She was hyper vigilant. And back then, they a lot of the women couldn't survive without getting remarried. So a lot of them were just remarried very quickly from a friend or somebody just to help look after those children. So I mean, kudos to her to do it on her own. That's incredible.
Well, she had to live with her sister and her sister's husband for a while, and those were not good times. My dad was not happy there. He was not happy living with that in that situation, and it was difficult for him. So it's
amazing that the women in that era, because my granny was similar.
Yeah,
she was my grandfather was not the best guy, and so he took off, and so she was left with 2 boys to bring up on their own, and they were
incredible.
Young, so.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's too bad.
And I got
women like us.
Well, it runs in the families, right? We bring it through our genetics.
That's
right.
This resilience. So we can thank them for that.
That's right.
Absolutely. And I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Debbie. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure to speak with you both again and sharing some of my experiences. And I was really blessed to be able to hear both your stories. Thank you very, very much for that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. Take care.
And
Bye-bye.
we hope to see you soon. Join us again next time for
Thank you.
Compassionate Chats.
Thank you. Take care. We will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.